feel like this is the same song in the other files I've played. It might be entirely the same. Whatever. Whatever. Boom. Beep beep. I was looking at this Shaligram from the last episode, which I brought up here. I'll just do that, I guess. Because I was looking at it again today, and I thought, whoa, I didn't notice this. That's interesting. I started thinking about this feature, and it really is quite odd. Okay, so I didn't notice, like, it's about this area right here. Maybe I'll turn this even lower. If it's not audible, that's fine, but if it's too loud, that's not good. Okay, so the thing is there something going on here I didn't notice? Let's look around this stone just from these images. So here's another image of it here. This ammonite in question is there. There's so many things I was thinking about. Contemplating. Here's this feature. That was my main focus in my last episode. Main focus of the last episode, interestingly relating to this episode. It relates to this episode, but we'll see how much as we go through. I kind of just noticed some things, but nothing specific towards this so much as peripherally. Main focus was on this. So it's a stone. Stones tend to be like stones. They don't have like loose pieces in the stone. That's a less common feature of a stone, to just have like a let's see. It's definitely moving, and it's moving. Notice the bottom chakra. It's moving unrelated to the bottom chakra. Like, it's not, the bottom chakra is sitting there while this whole piece is moving. Let's see if I can do it here. That would probably make it a little less ridiculous. As you can see, when I press here, it moves. There. It is loose in the stone. Now if we go over, push around here. You can kind of see. I don't want to like damage anything. This side's a little more fragile, so maybe I'll push it from the other side. You can see it moving. You might have noticed the chakra's moving. It's moving separate from the chakra. Let me focus. Separate from the chakra, and you can see that like really fine slice that separates it from the stone. It's just a slice that then, as it approaches the chakra, seems to go underneath the chakra, which is not actually the structure of an ammonite. The structure of an ammonite is the upper one that goes towards the chakra in this lobe section as it goes back to the center. Then there's the chakra itself, which maybe I can kind of actually get a little closer. Can really see that slice on the right side and how it's just separate and distinct from the lobe over here. They're two separate pieces. They're not conjoined. Like this side of the rock is conjoined to this side of the rock. That's usually how rocks are. Is kind of my point. But this is loose in there. But it's also loose in combination with this chakra, so as you can see, it is also loose. But mind you, they are embedded. These do not come out. They could be like broken out, but they are structurally one with the stone. Even though they're completely separate from the stone, they are very much like suture patterns tend to be. Let me find one. Here it is. Okay, so we've got suture patterns, just part of the ammonite of this. So that portion there, the lobe. Maybe I can zoom out a bit. It doesn't really matter. I don't need to show this depth. The point is, I believe this here. I'm not sure if this is the... Maybe, I'm not sure. Let me find one. It might be, at least here. At least this here is loose, but embedded. Like I can't like pry it out per se. Like I could break it out, but it's like structurally blocked off by its shape being like holding on. It has grip, as does this chakra ammonite structure in the other shaligram. This must not be the example I was thinking it was. is, it's this one. In the suture pattern here. Same thing going on. Where it's just eroded so much that it actually separates it entirely from the rest of the rock in the erosional process that is shaping these, because these are all shaped by current flows. As I hope if you're watching this, you've at least heard me say before. Even if you're like, this dude's insane. Okay, fine. Thanks for hearing me out. I assume you're still hearing me out then. Unless that was like the moment. That was the fine shit. Alright then. Well, that's not really my problem per se. I did my part, shoot. Or at least that part of my part. I don't want to say I did my part, that's fucking rude. So much to be done, so much could be done. Anyway, I'm just poking this thing. Point being, this thing, both of its parts are like that. I mean, it's very strange. Now, here's like, we're just beginning. I'm just like introducing the anomaly. It's really not just this. So if you're like, okay, that's like weird, but so what? There's still like a lot to it that's all related to the totality of the stone. So let's see how well we can see inside. So mind you, maybe before we do this, let's just, hello everyone. Whew, that was scary. I was all big and exposed. Now I'm little and exposed. It's just easier being little and exposed than big and exposed. I'm like a thumbnail. A little thumbnail guy. Okay, what was I doing? Ammonite structure, let's say. I don't know. Point being, like, when there's a chakra, according to the fossilization process, what is happening is a shell formed that structure in the stone and it fossilized. So basically, like, the shell boundaries are defined. It's not like they're like doing a bunch of things. They're just shell boundaries. Okay. That are repetitive. Like this structure, we can look at like Shaligrams. We don't have to. That might actually, no. Almost looks like one. But the point is, again, if there was such a shell in this stone, if there was, it would have had a boundary in the matrix that this shell, the supposedly existent shell of some sea creature. Pardon me if you're in disbelief, but it's the reality of the situation that it is the supposedly existent shell of this existing sea creature that is embedded into this matrix of black shale and quartz and pyrite and other materials that are found in shaligrams, primarily those things. And that is why there is this here, because there was a shell. Okay. So the first weird element to this shell is that it does have this undercutting structure. Is that the shell structure? Because it's under the chakra where it shouldn't be. Like the top, it doesn't cut off the chakra. So let's say this sea creature, this ammonite, anomalously had its shell that had like a hood that kind of covered the chakra region in a layer of additional shell, so that layer also led to this cutting down here, because it also cut over here because that's where a layer was, the chakra. But this ammonite just happened to have another layer down there that is not like in ammonites, and it weirdly had it because it's like kind of like jagged in the way it is, like the actual outline, which we'll look at in more detail. But it like didn't do that up here. This chakra is fine, so it only did it on one side if such a thing was happening. Or alternatively, like from a fossilization standpoint, if this is a fossil, then, and that's not a actual element of the fossil, like to maintain that it's a fossil, this must be explained, basically. To maintain that, so like maybe the shell directed some environmental flows of, and like led to this flow across millions of years that just circumstantially, coincidentally cut off the chakra, and that's all. It just cut off the chakra. Never mind that it cut off the chakra exactly right here at this thing. Like, that's just happenstance. Never mind that it like could have gone that way and seemed to do it in enough vigor that it did do it to sever the two regions. Okay, so let's look at this stone a bit more and just kind of begin to gather details of relationships of its features to this, because it's kind of odd. Like, so I brought up Photoshop to maybe just kind of draw some things along the way, maybe even make something really large, just so I can do several on it. Okay, so main thing of note here, once I move this somewhere over there, it's really small, but it's a bit like in terms of the percentage of the area I'm just allotted for. Okay. Maybe something a bit lighter, even whatever. Okay. So this is going to be of interest here. That seems to relate to here. And then whatever, same color. This one here. And then if you notice, let's do a different color. Here, there's like etching right here. Whoa, that's cool. I don't know why it's doing that. What is that the shape of? And if we, let me maybe pull it up actually. Here, microscope. So here's that. And then there's those lavender lines. And then over here, it's hard to... let me see if I can find. My thought was that arc basically relates to the typical way that a lobe of a ammonite will expand off of and grow, like where like these two paths there off the top and bottom could be portions of a next lobe. Or, instead, a different lobe actually seems to have been, like, a different shape that maybe, like, started from over there. So let's just say, hypothetically, if we go back here. That this... maybe actually even continues to basically there, and maybe over there. I see a possible there like that as being involved. It's not really much of an outline here, but another lobe is generally happening, where it's subtly recessively, I guess would be a better way to put it. Recessively happening. And then there's just a flatness to this area that it's like taking turns. Let's use that color. That's kind of generally a larger lobe, it's kind of doing several, which then gives me the impression, what about this here? I really don't know why it's doing that double color thing. I kind of like it, but then I make an arrow and it looks freaking like that. So be it. Essentially, my point is, this could also be a lobe that goes around the other side of the rock, and its features are parts of this ammonite having lobe interactions. So there seems to be a potential element, it seems, at least I don't want to say it's mingling with other things. These are not the typical abruptness of this. This is very odd. This hugeness, chakra, boom. It's very abrupt. And that's not typically how lobes go. They tend to take steps. This is very steep. It certainly can happen energetically, but it takes enough energy. It makes me think of I don't know if I can find it at a glance. This really big one. It's a big one. Might have passed it already. It's okay. Whatever. Okay, let's get to look in some more of these details. So another aspect is so we've got, maybe I'll do a little text box. We've got lobes. Recessive lobes. And then 2. This is probably the same text box. Oops. So separated but held pieces. Okay, let's keep looking at some details. So, here's that ammonite, and that's probably a good time to just go like this. Here's that spiral ammonite structure of the last video we talked about and looked at as best as I could. So basically the point being, if I go like maybe leave like this and then kind of just like off of this, it's hard to fit the toothpick. But specifically, I was thinking here. Oops. Like having some boundary. Like there. This boundary, like that, but like going down to the center generally. My point is, I was trying to essentially draw, insert this. Oh my god, so sorry guys. To insert this at an angle that is essentially like in and not like off of the center of this, so kind of perpendicular to those lines, I guess would be adequate. And then like it's relatively, if we just go like that. Let me zoom out some. Basically this angle thereabouts, and then go like this. I'm trying my best not to turn it too much. Let's be like, boom, it's perfect. It was somewhat like close. It's relatively parallel, which is interesting. Here's another detail. If I just go like this. Okay, we gotta do this again. here's the Shaligram. You know, like, do you notice something protruding? Point is, it is relatively at a polar like point. Having polar relevance. It has polar relevance. Like if I go back to the video, I can maybe see it. Like so this is its opposite pole. When I go like that, pole, basically right there, opposite pole. Is in that, in like this area. Which is basically around this opening, which is the one that has this path off of it. This one looks very much, in my interpretation, I was thinking about it, like it just goes right in. It's got a very flat face here. Like anomalously flat, if you will, for the ammonite here, where it looks almost like it, like considering this way, we see very little ammonite. If I can actually manage. There's really no evidence of a larger structure to the ammonite over here that is retained in the fossil record. But over here, the evidence is rather like extensive. It continues over there, where it reaches that outlet point we talked about before, which is what I would say is basically like a current went into the stone here on the right side, and some of it returned back by going to the left and created an eddy in that location. But like because it was a current like drilling into the right side lobe region, it just kept going through to a point where it actually created a larger structure in that direction. And then it exhausted from the stone there at the center point especially, but along the boundaries, that it's forming these boundaries here, exhausting along those paths. Especially here. And then running into pressure of another eddy that was involved over here, and just deflecting. So it's going this, it goes in here. Oops. Goes in here, along through here, and then deflects down that way abruptly, where it basically avoids this eddy. So that they're like relatively the same general boundary. If I go like this, it's generally approaching where the edge of the ammonite is etched. Over there, which this one is essentially outside like a chakra. Ew, look out here. Chakra's out here with an eddy that's just kind of eroding into that region. So it's an external eddy chakra's center that is eroding there to just etch in that segment. So that's going on generally at the like equatorial region. Like if we go like this again, like the pole equator, like there's a fatter region generally at the equator, and if I spin it around, that is where that structure is bounded, is polar. So we have a polar current coming in this way, running into other pressures, just like Earth, like like a polar vortex practically, pushing in, and then running into resistance around the equator, where it cuts across that way. And then there's an eddy off of the stone at the equator that is generally parallel, or like angled, but generally parallel with the equator of the stone. Yes, I'm calling it poles and equator on a rock, because that is how it formed. Fractally, cosmically, awesomely. Shaligrams are amazing. And then on the other side, I guess we can see similarly the equator is kind of bounding where that like weird erosional etching is. This, where like around here is generally the center of the stone. If I can, oops. It's hard to kind of like actually look at it and not just like cheat it to the edge. Around there is like this, generally the center. It's basically a balance point. So if I say take this image, hopefully I can just paste it in here. I don't know. Okay, take that over there. Come back here. Okay. Maybe angle it 30. There we go. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. I don't want to take a new image or anything. So we've got the general pole. General pole here, which is related to the ammonite. Another pole here, thanks to color thing, related to the other ammonite inlet. I'm not sure if that's exactly. Let me look at this. What is that feature right there? Okay, yeah, that's the I'll bring it up up here. I'm like, here, let me show you. That is right here. So basically, where is probably like the true, if there is such a thing, pole is more somewhere around here. Although interestingly, I'm just noticing there's like a line right there. It almost looks like this is a center around which there was like a eddy, and then it went that way. I know in the previous episode I've seen it in other ways, but I did definitely notice it that way. I don't think I noticed that or that. But point is, around here is the pole. Maybe around there, maybe there. In that area is the actual pole of the stone. I would suggest, based on the structure of what is happening in the stone, which would mean it was generally more like this, where it has a pole and a pole and a narrow and a fat. Like, it's bigger in the direction of the poles. Whereas this is like the equator, and shaligrams have or ammonites. These, like, this is also has a pole. This is not the best example, but if you don't know what I'm, like, haven't seen what I'm talking about, there's equatorial currents involved in ammonites that are actually in shaligrams that are like single ammonites like this, that are around the stone this way, while the poles are like here and at the base, so that it's much more flattened, like taking the other one and squishing it practically. But so this one is more elongated. So it's more like this. Which then, let's just draw a line maybe, since I can on this. Let's say from the widest part there to generally the furthest out that way there is its equator. I'll just write it. Oops. Interesting. So it's got a pole to pole current, maybe. Let's see. Let's keep looking. Let's go back to looking at this before I try to go too much further from the initial topic. So this one, the other one, has I would say like a strong evidence of an inlet of a current that went in this pole and down this way, ran into resistance over here, but this eddy might even suggest some kind of mixing, like, because it's basically a current flowing in this way. Flowing in this way. In here though, in and through the stone. Out here, but also through the stone. But as it like is traveling out here too. It's crossing over beyond the other current. So that's right. Let's go back here. So like, why is there an equator? What is going on? Like, essentially, before I draw this, I don't know which direction. I'll just draw a direction. What is happening is that there's a actual flow in like a direction, and then there's a flow in another direction, generally in the stone, that is leading to an equatorial region. Not like a hard, sharp boundary, but more so a region that is like not as eroded, not as shaped by the currents, but more able to remain wider, I guess, or sometimes pinched by actual like more turbulence in the region. But anyway, when a polar current low like goes into that one, is coming from a stream that's got like this directional flow generally to it, so it actually runs into an opposing current. And this is the wrong face of the stone, because this is not where that is. The other face, where this is, where this boundary is, then creates an eddy. An eddy actually formed off the stone in the other case, where I guess like it spiraled, like in the opposing face, it spiraled in the pressure, like off of the stone low. Leading to just undercutting and just forming the actual ammonite imprint that we see. Oops, I did that on the small screen, but hopefully you saw it. Doing there. Eddying by a current flow crossing over, and then imprint. Okay, so that's a major aspect. I don't know if I again deduced the directions correctly. I just arbitrarily drew them. It's one or the other. We can actually deduce. Let's see. Just probably off of this one right here. Like, if there's a current flowing this way and a current flowing this way, and some of that current goes up and into it, let's say this way then. Some of this bottom current goes up. Then what would it do? It would probably bend this way, actually, by the pressure. Let's think about it the other way then. This way, this way. Did I do that right? Is this the other way? That actually is probably more correct. That's my suspicion as I think about it. I don't think this surface is the best for like demonstrating why, but I'm thinking like if this current down here is generally being caused to go this way, that it might kind of just bounce back but like over here there's really not much evidence of it, so maybe it's interacting with itself more peacefully, if you will. Okay, let's keep going, because like I said, I definitely didn't cover everything, so let's try to look in here. Like, there's weird things going on. This fracture thing here, which, by the way, borders, this fracture that this chakra is cut at, like that's the boundary where the chakra is cut at. Oops. And check this out. See how this is actually fucking amazing. If I can show this. Chakra, so notice this crack here. Chakra's moving. Okay. Now we keep an eye on the crack. Other pieces moving. So the ammonite chunk that is loose over here actually extends to that boundary. Back there, we can see it moving in there. That's part of this chunk over here that not the chakra. Okay, so we're just kind of getting a clear, like, layout, if you will. But like this fracture thing is still the boundary of the chakra generally. So it's the same general boundary used for the chakra and the ammonite piece. It has a divide, we can see it there, where the chakra is separate. But if I go like, I was like, oh, that's weird. That's weird. Let's just say, I'll take this toothpick. go like this. Behind the chakras. Adjacent to like a recess. Imagine a current flow coming in this way behind the chakra. It runs quite directly into that spot. That's odd. Huh. Huh. Let's say there's two polar currents flowing in/out. This one seems related to that fracture in there for some reason. So let's look at the fracture a bit more. Inside. Maybe let's look at the bottom side first. As best as I can. Okay, that's the bottom as we've seen, and then the top. Isn't that weird? What is that other line doing there? That goes off to the right there. But kind of like is in line initially. Wow, that looks like a little chakra. Where did I put that toothpick? Is it still in there? There it is. Like, is it still in this poor Shaligram sticking toothpicks in his shit? People are like, dude, what are you doing? Right there. And then like spokes. One that way, one that way, one that way, generally around it. Maybe another like central one to the left of it. Just like recessive chakras or something. I don't know. What's up with that top chakra? Let's look a little closer at that top chakra. It's a little odd. Wow. Very cool. Subtly see the lines there too. Like flows. Really very similar to the flow patterns here. But different. There's that like chakra potential. Another one to the left of it. Maybe one centered on that dark spot. I don't know. Okay, so then we got this thing. Weirdly cutting off here. Around this way. This here goes back to that opening. there. So there's this weird little thing in there that just goes to the side, and then we continue this along this way. We follow it. It runs to the very margin of that eddy, which was definitely holding a boundary to it. And then it continues and continues over here. And then it kind of fades there. Let's see if we can find it again. What we do find, like it, is that line there. And going through, so probably that. Wrapping through, and then it runs into, again, some other lines that are over there related to that. So what's going on? It's almost like this lobe out this way is like reaching to the pole for some reason. And around it, past it. But then it's hard to show. It's kind of hard to show. Maybe I can do it this way. Let's see if it's possible. Okay. So starting from here, just following that line again. Oh, damn, it's tough. Okay, let's do it again this way then. So be it. So be it. Okay, so here. So the point is, if we follow it, it's wrapping around, it's generally returning back to over here. But I believe if we follow instead from this tip one and go this way, what I'm basically getting at is this one goes around and I suspect returns here, back, continuing. We're going vice versa the other direction, but probably going off this way and around, wrapping around, and then coming back, wrapping around, and just like kind of eddying into a center from there is what I'm suspecting. So if we follow this one back this way, kind of fades there. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. There's like a... Here's the line that comes off here. And then to the left of it, this way, away from the other edge over here, away from that path over the other way, we see right there that like subtle, if I can capture it. It's like those in the center, right there. There's a path that cuts through. Cuts through. That is not the other one. Maybe interacts with that. Related to that ammonite. So there's a path related to that ammonite that's going that way. My point is, I believe that as this current flow moves this way, it doesn't just like keep going this way. It actually runs into this other system and deflects more than would be maybe anticipated so that it comes out over here. So if we follow this, let's see. Alright, now. No, that wasn't. That's probably not it. Because that really seems. To go straight over that way. That's that path we were just looking at. Seems to continue through this ammonite. Right through it. Probably at a relevant boundary again. Like it's chakra, basically. The base of its chakra. It goes to the base, the low point. Continues by. Wow. Roading. I'm just thinking of fractal stuff. That's why I said wow. And then it runs into this path here that is like from the center of that spiral thing. Definitely one coming off of there too. This way. There it is. Definitely one coming off that way. That possibly deflects there. Wow. Like, what is that slice from? Wow. Oh, it gives me vibes of here is this ammonite. Whoa. Chakras, there they are. There's the chakras. More fibers that I will wonder if any of them were there. Okay, let's zoom out. But what I was thinking is... What's up, dudes? Feels so weird doing that. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Okay, I'm trying to get... this side looking that way, let's say. Yeah, I don't know. Well, whatever. I'll just do it this way. I guess this would have been the way. Basically, I don't know if you guys are familiar with how I am like, this looks like a thing, not like a lobe. Let me show you first, and then I'll show you what it is I'm kind of thinking. Like, say this piece here, where it has a internal nucleus, or like over here, basically a mouth to the, let's say, Shaligram Stone. That's a piece from in here, kind of thing. That has a mouth, but that mouth, it just didn't form the structure to be like this ammonite. Instead, it like generally had an eddy that had a nucleus region, a center, that basically spawned off of it to one side and like shaped the matrix to be like a lobe kind of thing, but it wasn't quite so like defined as to make the ammonite thing. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. There's an element as well where this ammonite that had a current flow going in this angle. Oh god, I need to go back to big. I'm not quite... Sorry, Shaligram. But like having a kind of V-shaped... It's so hard to frickin' do this. To this side, where it comes to a center and then kind of narrows over here. So it has like a mouth where the nucleus generally had a presence, and then a region where it widens like a lobe, and then a top and bottom, and then a far end, which if we go back to one of my most commonly referenced shaligrams. I believe this one here. It has those points as being relevant, like there. Let's say there, like opposite over here. And then up there and there. Sometimes off center, like over there. So, and then like in this case as well, top. Not always showing all the things, but top, bottom, far end, and then the 1/3, 2/3, also top, bottom, at least on that one. So like these can like bend back inward and cut this piece out and create like a loose chakra. It can erode fully this piece out and create a loose ammonite chunk, where actually that piece comes out entirely in the process, where it's just void like over here during the current flows etching the stones. Okay guys, I kind of feel like I didn't quite do justice to what I was thinking in portraying it. I probably missed some details. I probably forgot to cover things. But here's the angle of this thing. That's interesting. Like it points at the amen. It points at where my thumb is. Like if I go like this, where I can actually look at it, and just kind of down. Down is here. Maybe it's not exactly pointing at this point. Like the furthest down point, but it's generally pointing over there, where the rest of the rock slopes this way. From that general area. I don't know, just something I was noticing. I know it's really hard to show it. I need so many more methods to do this. That camera was not what I was looking for. I'm just gonna use it. Disappointed though in that purchase. I mean, it's nice, it's just not what I was hoping. I should have actually bothered to look around. Entirely my own fault. Okay. Okay, so that's this Shaligram again. I'll probably talk about it again at some point. The loose piece is really so cool. I think there's a relation. I could have sworn there was a more of a relationship between the swirl piece over here. Maybe this is actually a good angle. See this like flowing around basically to over there. Like there's a relationship there too. And then this one flowing around basically to like down here maybe, or like it's interacting over here, it seems. The structure. Oh, darn. I'm so freaking tired. goes that way. Runs into resistance, I guess. Maybe this was a balance point between like directions of flows, going this way and this way. And then that balance point went also across here. I mean, that's like it's kind of straying, if you will, from the equatorial current, which would be kind of polar current. But there's definitely evidence of polar currents too in shaligrams. And so in this case, it would just be polar dominant in a way where it could like be actually having more of like the equatorial boundary I was talking about, where it goes kind of in opposite directions. Okay, too tired, must sleep. Peace out. Much love. Thanks for hanging.